Hey everybody, it's Mr. Roche. I'm here with working with Java, and what we're doing is we're running an algorithm that we found in the Horseman book to determine the date of Easter um, from in any given year. And this is from Frederick Gauss's algorithm, and we learned a little bit about Frederick Gauss as well, and kind of what they're doing in terms of trying to schedule the lunar New Year with the common date of New Year's, and then the custom of having New Year's like after a certain date, after one of the full moons or whatever. So when you run this right now and you stick in a year, it'll tell you like the date like that. So March 21st or April 21st should be the date of New Year's in 2019. And what we can do, what we found is that we could check this like on Google here. Where is it? There you go. So if you say like 2019, it should come back April 21st. That's good. And that sort of matches up. Okay. What I was wanting to do though for everybody was try to like make this rather than you have to put in each year. It's kind of slow. Why don't we give it for a certain period after you put in a date? Okay. And this is pretty easy to do. So we can do this in kind of really we could just do this with like a loop. We should think about moving this to its own like subroutine or a method in Java. But right now we can just put a loop on it and see where it goes. So if you look at the code, we have a scanner, and we ask the user to input a year. Okay, so I'm gonna input for example, a start year now. Okay, so if you say 2010, for example, I did this. I went and figured out. Let me see if I can find it. All the Easter days for like the last decade, say for example, okay, or the current decade. Um, and so what I wanted to do is see if I could run that. I looked all these up on Google. I used Google to help me find them. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to run a loop that's going to find this. So what's going to happen is they're going to import a start year. Okay. And so maybe I'll call this like start year. Okay. So what's going to happen is it's gonna do that, and then I'm going to need another variable, maybe at the top of the program, or we could do it like right here even, and we could say int how many years. I'm not asking. I guess we could ask them the user that too. Um, so um, so maybe that would work too. So we could just do this with that. And we could say this. So you get the year, and then you could go in here and say, you know, how many years, right? Like that. Um, and we can find that actually by just going like get next to it. So that's pretty good. Okay, so that gives us like a kind of a baseline. So if you wanted it for 10 years, you could do that. You could do it for 20 years. That's great. Okay, now you're going to see that we messed stuff up because we lost a variable y. So what I'm going to do though is I'm gonna kind of use this. I'm going to use y as an like an iterator in our loop. Okay, so loops are a great thing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something called a for loop, which is a counting loop. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say for, and in Java you have to set up variables. You have to set up the counter and stuff like that. So I'm going to say int y, and that's going to save the day with those errors. See how they all go away? And I'm going to have it start at the start year, and I'm going to have it go while y. So y is going to change. It's going to like bump up every year. So I'm going to have this go while it's less than or equal to start year plus how many years. Okay, so if you said 10 years, it would go from like what I was trying to do in the beginning. I was trying to go from 2010 to 2020. Now notice that there's there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years involved when you do that, because you repeat on the 0. And we're going to try to account for that. And actually, we're going to account for that we're using that. And then we're going to say y plus plus. And that's the thing that tells it. So that, like, for any for loop, there's a starting part. Tell it where to start. Tell it where to end. Okay. And then tell it how to actually bump up. You can actually go every other year and stuff like that if you wanted to. That'd actually be pretty cool. But I'm just going to run it like this for right now. Okay, so what happens is if I put a curly brace, this sets up a code block. And the big problem is I got to put all this stuff inside there. Okay? And actually, what would be really cool would be to just put it into a subroutine. It would kind of make the code look better. Okay? So since you guys are so good, I'm going to sort of try this. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here below this. Okay, this is the code block that ends the class. Okay, so that's the thing. There's a code block to start, like Gauss Easter. Okay, and then this is a code block that ends main. Okay, which is our main routine, which is kind of running everything. Okay, and for better organization, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to say public static, and I'm just going to have it print out from down there. That's okay. Say void. Okay, let's call it like get date or something like that. Okay, and what we're going to send it is this whole thing runs off of y, right? So if I send it the year y, it'll compute for me. Okay, so I'll go like this, and I have to send it y for year. Okay, I could call that something else, but I'm going to call it y for right now. And I'm going to go like that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the entire working part of this code. Okay, and I'm going to cut it from there. So look how short the code is. And then I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, and since I called this y, then y is going to work here. Okay, and it's going to do all this work, and then it's going to send the thing. And then all I need to do then is call it up. And I'm going to say get date of y. Okay. Now the way this operates is that this method is like a separate, it's like a separate island basically. So when I call this y over here, it's not really, it's sending it sort of like a copy of y, and it'll kind of run over here, stuff like that, especially if it's an integer. Okay. So objects work a little bit differently, but that's kind of it. So let's test this out and see if it works. So we'll run this. Okay, that's over here. We'll get the input year, and we'll say 2019, right? And let's say 3 years for right now, or 2 years for right now, because that'll give me 19, 20, and 21. There you go. Okay, and so then we can check it, and that's great. So it'll do this. So we used 19 is 20, F421. This is the 12th. And I have to check 2021. So let's find out. I'm just going to go to Google. Hopefully Google can give me this information. And we're hopefully getting the same day. So it says that it's April 4th. And that's April 4th. That's really cool. So let's run it for the decade and check that out, okay? So I'm going to run it again. Then I'm going to input the first year, which would be 2010. And then I'm going to go for 10 years, okay? And then I got this information, and I want to check it against the Google dates that I got. So let's see if I can sort of do that. Pull this up. Okay. Pull this over. So it's pretty close. And let's see if we get the right dates. So I got April 4th, I got April 24th, I got April 8th, I got March 31st. This is looking pretty good. Okay. And that's pretty great. And then the thing is about computers, the thing that makes computers awesome is that you can do this for like several thousand years. So let's start this in year, I don't know, let's start it in year 100. Now let's go in year 1000 and go to, now let's start it in year like 1950, and we'll go like for like 100 years. Okay, that way, and see how fast this comes back. And look at this, it just knows all this stuff, which is really cool. Okay, and so like we can even do it for like 1,000 years, which is super cool too. So let's try that. So for the next 1,000 years, we're going to know what year Easter happened on. So we'll start 2020, and we'll go 1,000 years. Boom, there it is. So if you need to do Easter shopping or do anything like that to get ready for this holiday, you can figure that out. And this is an old Frederick Gauss algorithm that's been a little bit updated to run here, but it comes from this old thing. And I think the legend was that he was looking actually for his birthday because he's born around Easter, and his mom just didn't happen to know his birthday because it was so old, and things like that. So anyway, that's what we got. So I'm looking for the code. Okay, I'm looking for you to create the loop. I'm looking for you to create the method. Okay, and we have to make this one static because it's touching a static main, and we know why main's static because it has to be around and run. And that's it. I will talk to you later. Thanks.